Hey, what is going on, YouTubers? This is Blight back with another deck profile, and today we'll be talking about Noble Knights. Now, the Noble Knights are an archetype comprised mostly of warrior type monsters, and they all revolve around equipped spell cards called Noble Arms. Most of their monsters only get their effects when they're equipped with Noble Arms, and these effects can be anything from popping cards, draw power, searching, you name it. So, if you're a fan of warrior type monsters and the Arthurian legends like myself, then maybe this is the deck for you. So, let's get started. First up we have their most important monster, Noble Knight Medraut. Now, Noble Knight Medraut is a level 4 light warrior, 1700 attack. While he's on the field or in the graveyard, he's treated as a normal monster. This is very important. But when he's equipped with a Noble Arms equipped spell card, he becomes an effect monster. His level increases by 1, his attribute changes to dark, and he gains the following effect. If this is the only monster you control, you can special summon a Noble Knight monster from your deck in face-up defense position. Then destroy one equipped spell card you control. Now, this is the key part of their first turn strategy, and the strategy you'll be most often using with Noble Knights. You need Medraut and one of their equipped spell cards, and almost all of their equipped spell cards re-equip upon being destroyed while on the field. So the strategy is summon Medraut, equip him with a Noble Arms, use his effect to special summon another Noble Knight monster from your deck. I'll be discussing him just in a minute. And then Medraut would destroy the Noble Arms, and the Noble Arms would re-equip to the new monster. Then the new monster would get its effect, and so on and so on. So yeah, you need to play 3 of these. This is the guy you want on your first turn, along with an equipped spell card. But like with all the support the Noble Knights got over the years, it's pretty easy to get Medraut on the first turn. So yeah, that is it for Medraut. And now moving on to the second most important monster, and the one that Medraut always summons from the deck. Noble Knight Borz. Now, just like Medraut, he is a level 4 light warrior, 1700 attack, treated as a normal monster while on the field or in the graveyard. But if he's equipped with a Noble Arms, he gains the following effect. Once per turn, you choose 3 Noble Arms spell cards from your, Noble Arms cards from your deck. Then your opponent randomly adds one of them to your hand, and the other ones are sent to the graveyard. So what does this mean? Like I said, Medraut will special summon him, destroy an equipped spell card. The equipped spell card would equip the Borz. Then Borz's effect would search out 3 Noble Arms. One of these Noble Arms would be added to your hand, and then you can equip the Noble Arms you just added with Borz to the Medraut, and then you would have 2 level 5 monsters. Then you can go into their rank 5 Exceed monster or any other rank 5 Exceed monster. Now the Noble Knights have 2 Exceed monsters, one is rank 4 and one is rank 5. Both are named Arthurian, which is the Welsh name for Arthur. So yeah, that's the one you'll be mostly using. They also have a Synchro monster, but I don't run it in this deck. This is a pure Exceed version because I just consider it to be overall better. So yeah, Borz is an awesome card. Even if you don't have Medraut, Borz on his own is good because he can search out more equipped cards, so definitely play him at 3. Next up we have a rank 4 Exceed supporting monster, which is Noble Knight Gawayn. His effect isn't as spectacular as the previous 2, it's just that if you control a light normal monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Like I said, Borz and Medraut are treated as normal monsters while on the field, so if you have Borz or Medraut without any equipped cards, you can special summon Gawayn in defense mode. And that can help you with your rank 4 XYZ summons or whatever you need. Keep in mind, he is a beat stick because he has 1900 attacks, so if you have nothing else going on, you can just summon Gawayn, maybe equip him with something, and take it from there. So yeah, that is it for Gawayn. Moving on, we have one Noble Knight Dristan. Now, Dristan's effect is a bit different. He's a level 4 light warrior type monster, 1800 attack. While he's on the field, if you control other Noble Knight monsters, your opponent cannot target them Your opponent cannot target other Noble Knight monsters that have 1700 attack or less with attacks or card effects. But that's not the effect you'll be using. You can just forget about that one. It's confusing. So Dristan's real power is when an equipped spell card is equipped to him, he pops a face-up card on the field. Keep in mind, it's not optional, so you have to use the popping effect. meaning that if you have only Dristan and the equip spell card, you would need to pop either Dristan or the equip, so watch out for that. But Dristan is pretty good because instant destruction of face-up cards is always welcome in any deck. Next up we have Noble Knight Gwalchawad. Now, he's sort of a hybrid between Borz, Medraut, and the other ones because he's also treated as a normal monster while on the field or in the graveyard. When he's equipped, he gets his effect, but his level and attribute do not change like Medraut and Borz, so he remains a level 4 light warrior when he's equipped with the Noble Arms. And his effect is, once per turn you can target one Noble Knight monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then destroy one Noble Arms you control. Gwalchawad isn't that impressive, especially because he only has 1500 attack, but he can help reinforce your hand later on in the duel, which can help you maintain hand advantage. Or if you have nothing else going, he can bring back Medraut from the grave, and then you can take it from there during one of your next turns. So yeah, that is Gwalchawad. Next up we have Noble Knight Bedwyr. Now this is a relatively newer Noble Knight, debuted in their box set, Noble Knights of the Round Table. His effect is when he's summoned in any way, he sends a Noble Arms equipped spell card from the deck to the graveyard. So he's like a Foolish Burial for their equipped spell cards. And his other effect is, while he's on the field, you can target one Noble Arms equipped spell card and one appropriate Noble Knight monster on the field. That equipped card is now equipped to that Noble Knight monster. So this means he's pretty good for mirror matches, because you can just use your opponent's Noble Arms to equip to himself. Other stuff you can do, like I said, some of the Noble Arms equipped spell cards do not re-equip upon being destroyed. So if you end up starting your first turn with Medraut and one of those Noble Arms that do not re-equip, you can do the following strategy. Summon Medraut, equip him with the Noble Arms. Medraut will then summon Bedwyr. Bedwyr's effect would send a Noble Arms from the deck to the grave. Then Medraut will destroy the Noble Arms you have. Then you would have two level 4 light warrior type monsters and two Noble Arms in your graveyard, and then you can go for their rank 4 Exceed monster and equip the two Noble Arms. That is a lot better than just going into any random rank 4 Exceed, at least in my opinion. So that's what I use Bedwyr mostly for. Also, like I said, his second effect is a quick effect, so you can just attack with, I don't know, let's say Gawayn has the equipped spell card that gives him 1000 attack. He'd be at 2900. He attacks, and then you can just use Bedwyr's effect to switch the Noble Arms to Bedwyr, and then Bedwyr would attack, and that would be 1000 more damage, so yeah. I hope I explained all the possible situations where you can use this card, so yeah. That is it for Bedwyr. Next up we have one of my favorites, Noble Knight Brothers. Now this card is a pain to get because it's the only one that didn't get reprinted in the Noble Knights of the Round Table box set, so you may have a bit of trouble getting it, but it's an awesome card, so definitely worth the trouble. This card can only attack if you control exactly 3 Noble Knight monsters and no other monsters. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon up to 2 Noble Knight monsters from your hand, but cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Noble Knights. Once per turn, you can target 3 Noble Knight and or Noble Arms cards in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 1 card. So basically it's 3 effects. The first one is it can only attack when you have exactly 3 Noble Knight monsters. 1200 attack, 2400 defense, which is just amazing, and there is no restriction. You can just set it and he can protect you because 2400 defense is awesome. I think this is second only to Destiny Hero Defender as far as level 4 monsters go. So yeah, this can help you also with the Digusto Emerald effect because it can help you recycle your Noble Knight cards. You can just return the Noble Knight Exceed monsters that may have been destroyed previously back into the extra deck to draw a card. You can also return any of the Noble Arms, Noble Knights, and one of their cards called Last Chapter of the Noble Knights, but more on that a bit later. And the other effect is just as awesome. When they're normal summon, they special summon 2 more Noble Knights, so you can just go for an all-out ambush attack and try to finish the game right there. So yeah, that is it for Noble Knight Brothers. And next up we have a Spellcaster type monster, which is kind of a rarity in the Noble Knights, and that is Merlin. This is also a relatively new card, also debuted in the Noble Knights box set, and this card makes the deck infinitely more consistent. How does it work? Well, he has 3 effects, but only the first one is really important. You contribute this card to special summon a Noble Knight monster from your deck. So basically Merlin replaces any of the Noble Knights. If you have Merlin, you can call out any of them depending on the situation. And his other 2 effects are, if he's in the graveyard, you can banish him to perform an Exceed summon or a Synchro summon into a Noble Knight monster using Noble Knight monsters you control. So what this means is, if you have, let's say, Borz and Medraut on the field, you go into your battle phase, attack with both of them, and then banish Merlin from the graveyard to perform the Exceed summon, and then the Exceed monster would be able to attack again. So yeah, that is Merlin, an awesome card, so definitely run him at 3. It helps with the consistency, helps with first turn plays, and yeah. Also, if you feel like it, because he's a dark monster and all of them are light, you can maybe use Black Luster Soldier if you so wish. But I don't run one, so yeah. And next up we have their last monster, and this is more of a spell card than a monster. Gwenhwyfar, Queen of the Noble Arms. This is how she works. She's basically a monster that can equip herself to a Noble Knight monster from the hand or the graveyard, and you can use this effect once per turn. Because she has Noble Arms in her name, it means that Borz can also search her out. So if you have her in the graveyard, it basically means you have Noble Arms to equip at any time. And she also has 2 different effects depending on the attribute of the monster it is equipped to. If it's equipped to a light monster, if the monster would be destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy this card instead. If it's equipped to a dark monster, when the dark monster battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that monster, then destroy this card without applying damage calculation. Also, it gives you a 300 attack boost, regardless of what your attribute is, so that can be somewhat useful. A little ruling that I should mention is, if you're using Gwenhwyfar and a dark attribute monster such as Noble Knight Medraut or Borz, and you're battling something that has the when in its effect, like the hand monsters. If you destroy Fire Hand, it says when this card is destroyed, you can target one monster that your opponent controls, destroy it, and then you special summon Ice Hand. The thing is, Gwenhwyfar first destroys the monster, and then she destroys herself, meaning all of the monsters that have the when in their effect would miss their timing. This includes the hand monsters, Bujin Mikazuchi, stuff like that. So it's very useful in certain situations because it makes your opponent miss their timing. And most players aren't aware of this, so this is why I feel the need to discuss this a bit further. So yeah, Gwenhwyfar, Queen of Noble Arms, an awesome card. Basically a monster that becomes a spell whenever you need it. So yeah, that is it for their monsters. And now moving on to the spells, since spell cards are a major part of this deck. First up we have Noble Arms of Destiny. Now all of the Noble Arms except one can be equipped to warrior type monsters. So if you make a warrior type Exceed monster like, I don't know, Heroic Champion Excaliburn or Blade Armor Ninja, they would also be able to use these. Now Noble Arms of Destiny is one of the best equipped cards for warrior monsters because, hold on, how did that get in there? So yeah. While it's equipped, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects once per turn. So basically each turn this will help you avoid destruction once. Also, when this is destroyed, it will re-equip, but it only re-equips to Noble Knight monsters. So if this gets hit by an MST while it's equipped to Blade Armor Ninja, it will not re-equip, so keep that in mind. This is a card you use to start off the strategy with Medraut and Borz, because if Medraut destroys it, it will re-equip to Borz, then Borz will get his effect, and so on. So yeah, Noble Arms of Destiny, an awesome card. Next up we have Noble Arms Gallatin, which turns any warrior monster into an instant beatstick by giving it a 1000 attack boost. It also re-equips to Noble Knights when it's destroyed. The only bad thing is, during each of your standby phases, the monster that is equipped with this card loses 200 attack. But that's not so bad because that would take 5 turns to actually bring your attack to the original value. But in 5 turns, a lot of stuff can happen. So yeah, Keep in mind that when this is removed, I mean, when it's no longer equipped, the monster will not lose his attack and it will go back to normal. So yeah. Next up, Noble Arms Caliburn. This is an interesting one. This one gives you 500 attack, and you can heal your life points by 500 points. So yeah, if you start off with Medraut in this card, it will work like this. Summon Medraut, equip this, gain 500. Medraut summons Borz. This re-equips the Borz, gain another 500. Borz searches out whatever, you go into the rank 5 XYZ monster, equip Caliburn, and then you get another 500. So you would start off the duel at 9,500 life points, which is pretty cool. This can help you out later because any increase in your life points is more than welcome, and it can also help mitigate the cost of cards such as Solemn Warning. Next up, Noble Arms Arfedutyr. In my opinion, the least useful of the Noble Arms, but it's still nice to have one around. This is how it works. The monster it's equipped to permanently loses 500 attack, and then you can destroy a set card on the field. No, a set card your opponent controls. So basically you equip this, you activate its effect, your monster permanently loses 500 attack, even if this card is removed from the monster, and then you pop a set card. Pretty useful against stuff like raccoons, shaddolls maybe, but it's not something that that you would equip to your Exceed monster because it gives you no boosts or anything. So yeah, I only play one of them. And now, the Noble Arms that is exclusive to Noble Knights. This one can only be equipped to Noble Knights, probably because its effect is super awesome. The equipped monster cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, which is just amazing. Also, this one does not re-equip upon being destroyed, so keep that in mind, probably because its effect is so powerful, and it also has an additional effect. If it's in the graveyard, except during the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to switch between your rank 5 and rank 4 Exceed monster. So you can make the rank 5 into the rank 4, or the rank 4 into the rank 5. And what this means is if you use this effect, all of your equipped cards would go to the graveyard, and then they will be able to be re-equipped to the new Exceed monster. And this can help you in some situations. I will mention more about this later once we get to the extra deck. So yeah, next up we have last chapter of the Noble Knights. Another card they got in the box set, which is just amazing. If you know what Bujin Carnation does, this is basically Noble Knight Carnation. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, special summon one Noble Knight monster from your graveyard and equip it with a Noble Arms from your graveyard. Well, basically, if you want to get technical, it's target one Noble Knight monster, add one appropriate Noble Arms card in your graveyard, special summon the monster, and equip it with the Noble Arms. Meaning, basically, this can help you reset your entire strategy if you have Medraut in your graveyard. Or if you have Borz, you can just use Borz to search out more equips. You can also use it to summon Dristan, equip Dristan with a Noble Arms, and then Dristan would pop a face-up card. The possibilities are limitless, and because it contains Noble Knight in its name, because it's last chapter of the Noble Knights, it technically means that Noble Knight's brothers can also return this card to the deck and help you draw one card. And this would be the first choice you would return because it has absolutely no use in the graveyard. So yeah, an awesome card. You really want to draw this early. Or it can be your top deck or saving grace. Next up, because this is a warrior deck, of course we're going to run 3 Rhoda. Helps with the consistency, helps you search out basically anything other than Merlin and Gwenhwyfar. So yeah, Rhoda at 3 is just awesome, and I hope it stays that way. Next up, back row removal. Because the only thing that can stop your Noble Knights most of the time is back row. I run 3 MST and complement it with 1 Night Beam. Now, Night Beam is a normal spell card, it's not a quick play. You target one set spell or trap card your opponent controls, destroy it, but your opponent cannot activate the targeted card. Which is pretty useful in some situations because there are some cards that are going to make you waste your MST. And Night Beam is just nice to have for the extra back row removal. I used to run 2, but I find it's a bit too much, so just 1 Night Beam and 3 MSTs are enough. And last but not least, Raigeki, because it's awesome. Why wouldn't you run Raigeki? And now for the traps. There are very few trap cards in this deck, but some of the staple ones had to go in. Bottomless Trap Hole banishes any monster your opponent summons with 1500 or more attack. Compulsory Evacuation Device target a monster on the field and bounce it back into the hand, else with Exceed, Synchros, or whatever. Solemn Warning, pay 2000 life points, negate a summon of a monster or a spell or trap card that summons a monster and it's a counter trap. You all know what this does. And like I said, because you have Noble Arms Caliburn, it can help you mitigate the cost of Solemn Warning. 1 Vanity's Emptiness. I used to run 2 because this card is so annoying and disruptive, but I can understand why it was limited to 1. It basically destroys any deck at any given moment if used properly. But 1 is still awesome, so yeah, basically how Vanity's Emptiness works is neither player can special summon. Destroy this card if a card is sent from your hand, if a card is sent from your field or your deck to your graveyard. I'm sorry. So yeah, basically if this is on the field and a card from your field or your deck gets sent to the graveyard, this is automatically destroyed. Meaning that if this is on the field, you wouldn't be able to activate something like MST or whatever unless you want this to stay. Because yeah, each time we activate anything and it goes in the graveyard, this will be destroyed. But if you have Arthurian and he's equipped with all the cards that would prevent your opponent from targeting him, destroying him, and then you activate Vanity's Emptiness, you've basically severely crippled your opponent because you have a boss monster on the field and they cannot special summon. So yeah, an awesome card. You want to draw this as soon as possible, especially if you get the first turn Medraut play going. And last but not least, I run Two-Dimensional Prison. I find this card to be very useful against the current meta because you have stuff like Winda, Dante, stuff like that doesn't really matter, that doesn't really mind being destroyed, but so you have to resort to banishing. How this works is if your opponent's monster declares an attack, you target it and banish it. Simple as that. So this can really help you out. Like I said, in the Noble Knights deck you have a lot of space to work with because you can replace this with any card that you feel is better, and you can replace the stuff like the Night Beam or whatever. So you do have a lot of space to work with if you want to build your own Noble Knight deck. That is it for the traps. Only 6 traps in this deck, but that's all I need basically. And now the interesting part, the extra deck. Like I said, they have 2 Exceed monsters. One is rank 4 and one is rank 5. You run 2 copies of each. I mean, I run 2 copies of each. You can run more if you want, but 2 is just enough. They're both named Arthurian. The rank 4 has 2000 attack. The rank 5 has 2200 attack. He's a bit stronger. His effect is, once per turn you detach 1 XYZ material, then destroy a number of spells or traps on the field up to the number of equipped cards that you control. And this effect does not target, so basically you activate it, your opponent can change something, but if they don't change anything, then you can just continue to pop their cards, their back row. You can also use it as popping effect to re-equip some of your Noble Arms cards to different monsters, because like I said, most of the Noble Arms re-equip upon being destroyed. So if you have something like, I don't know, a Borz that has some equipped card that you want on him, you could use his effect to destroy, let's say, Noble Arms of Destiny, and then you could re-equip it to him. So basically this is back row removal. He doesn't have any additional effects, but this guy does. The rank 5 monster's effect is you detach 1 XYZ material, target 1 other monster on the field and destroy it, which is just awesome. So you pop monsters once per turn. And if he's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Noble Knight monster from your graveyard, which is just awesome. So it means if he gets destroyed, you can special summon Medraut, and then if Medraut survives until your next turn, you can do the whole thing over again. And both of them have the same effect, and that is, upon being Exceed summoned, they can equip themselves with 3 Noble Arms with different names from your graveyard. So whenever they're Exceed summoned, they just target the Noble Arms in the graveyard and equip themselves. Simple as that. So yeah. If you want to equip more than 3, like I said, the last Noble Arms cards you equip to Medraut would probably be re-equipped by its own effect, and then the Arthurian would be able to equip 3 more from the graveyard. So yeah, that's how it works. And if you remember, I said there is a card that helps you switch between them, and that is Noble Arms Excaliburn, meaning if this is in the graveyard and it wasn't sent there this turn, you cannot use the effect during the same turn it was sent to the graveyard. You can banish this, target him, and then you can change him into the rank 5 Exceed monster, or target him and change him into the rank 4 Exceed monster. And by doing that, you are able to switch between their effects, also switch between their equip cards. So you could just use the rank 4 to clear off the back row, rank him up to rank 5 would pop the monster, and you could just take it from there. So yeah, that is it for their main Exceed monster. Now moving on to the other Exceed monsters, we have some of the warrior specific ones, such as Blade Armor Ninja, can attack twice, 2200 attack. Heroic Champion Excaliburn, detach 2, he goes up to 4000 attack. Blade Armor Ninja is very useful if you have Noble Arms Gallatin or Caliburn, because he can go up to 3200 or 2700 respectively, and then he can attack twice. This can help you OTK stuff. Heroic Champion Excaliburn is there to go over some stuff like Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Tree, because he is an instant B-stick. Next up we have Starliege Paladinamo. Most of your monsters are light, so if you have nothing else going, you can go into Paladinamo. His effect is detach 2, target a monster, it loses all of its attack and its effect is negated. And if this card is destroyed by your opponent's card or by battle, you draw 1 card. I also run Volcasaurus because you have the option of going into other rank 5 Exceed monsters. Detach 1 material, target a monster, destroy it, burn your opponent by the monster's original attack, but he cannot attack directly the turn you use this effect. However, you can just use Gaia the Thunder Charger, which is just summoned by overlaying over a rank 5 or rank 6 Exceed monster, and then you would be able to attack directly. So if your opponent has something big on the field, such as, I don't know, for simplicity's sake, Blue Eyes White Dragon, you could just use Volcasaurus to pop the Blue Eyes, burn for 3000, go into Gaia, and attack for 26 more 100 damage. So it's pretty good. You can also use Artorigus to go into Gaia, but you're not going to be using that all the time. Also, Gaia has piercing damage, should be noted. Next up, Evagishki Merylgeist helps with the hand monster, also helps with stuff like Yang Zing that just floats around. When it destroys a monster, you detach 1 XYZ material and the monster goes back into the deck instead of the graveyard. 1 Lavaval Chain, this is something I very rarely use. It's basically a last resort. If you have nothing else going, use Lavaval Chain to put Medraut on top of your deck, or send Gwenhwyfar from the deck to the graveyard. Diamond Dire Wolf, which I would replace with Castell if I had it, but for now I don't, so this is the version of my little version of Castell, because he destroys himself and pops a card. It's nowhere near as good, but still, you have to make do. Gagaga Cowboy, like all other decks, it helps to finish the game with the 800 burn damage. Abyss Dweller helps with stuff like Burning Abyss, Yang Zing Shaddolls. And last but not least, Ragna Zero against Cleaforts, Fire Fists, or any other deck that has monsters with varying attack points. So yeah, that is it for the Noble Knights. I really like this deck. It's very easy to play once you get the hang of it, and it's fun. I mean, it's warrior monsters based on the Arthurian legends. How could you not love it? So definitely give this deck a try. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys later. Bye bye.